Well, I've been trying to record some music tonight without great success. I must have tried 10 times to record the same song in various positions in my bedroom here, and it didn't work out too well. I kept cutting off all the time, the connection, so I'll try and bear with this for as long as I can with a connection to YouTube. This is a book I wrote in hospital in 2001 or 2002, I think. I was actually sectioned on September 11th of 2001 because of my reaction to the Twin Towers disaster and American bombings. Obviously I wasn't too happy about it, and I was in hospital already, so they sectioned me and put me in Section 3 of the Mental Health Act 1983. I wrote this March the 4th to March the 6th 2002, it says here, and this is a general sort of story of my life and things and how I regard life. Okay, this is page 1, here we go. Everyone here in St. David's Hospital has been as kind and as generous as their fellow poor can possibly be with each other. The staff, the ladies and gentlemen who escort me and others upon occasion have been active and cooperative. I have no descendants of our troubles all my life. I know what I mean, look a bit strange, I can't be helped now, can it? Tidy up, boy, get wise. I've done good, I've done bad, I've tried to live as best I could under the mental health system. I've been depressed, fearful, schizophrenic and paranoid according to the doctors, and I live in South and West Wales. The people around here and around me have tried to help, but they cannot, for death due to illness known as sin. Perhaps that's what I'm guilty of. It's inevitable for a common sinner like me. I've seen visions that they assumed those shrieks were mere delusions, and I've walked with Satan and the gods in my mind, and are terrifying experiences. They wore me out and debilitated me. But that's nothing against the spirit. I've been in fights, a few and a million arguments, but the stars still shine wherever I may go. I'm in hell, yet I'm in heaven. And the story of whatever is recounted. Time marches on, and the moon-led tide waits for no man. God is no Judas, he's our Father. Whatever and wherever and whoever God is, he's given me both much and little. If I feel terrific or terrible, down or eurythmic or euphoric, it's because of its circumstances beyond our control. She, Dr. EM, RBA, etc., who is my doctor, has confined me here in St. David's Hospital and commanded me by right. This tome. I've had a childhood, adolescence and a manhood where the first two were preferable to the third. But I've no kids, see? No children. I live peacefully to be free, but not of myself. What may be good, I write now that I wish you well. The illness is gone. It is dead. Oh, come on. I'll be deceased and dead and buried someday, and the right people will sleep and dream of better things to say, and writing and communication proliferate as it does, as it should, as they should, between Sgureni and Cymraeg, weithiau. Achos da ni eisiau sgureni I fe a ddysgu amdano beth rydw i'n gwybod. Sbrechen si does, Shimmer Pelsan, and rydw i'n etc. Bits and pieces, the fire alarm goes off as I'm writing. I've been to the canteen to buy things on as gloomy as the Mondays. The sorrow abounds. So little things in life are get frustrating, huh? My dreams and nightmares and religious visions, whilst alive as they surely were, vivid. and real. They were colourful, and I would work in sound, come rain or shine, hailstorm, snow and sleet. I think they've become lesser, not greater, these works, and going out this coming Friday to Clan Stefan, the beach nearby. My parents certainly ruled over my life, but I may try to prevail. The time will come too, and surely every man in all life dies, to be replaced in the circle of life contrives, and the dead shall rest in sleep. I love them both. The pictures and the melodies and the career in music that I never did achieve will be forgotten about, and new things will happen, and that day is over, and the long dark night descends. I won't be there, I'll be elsewhere in heaven probably, assuming that I'm saved at all. But I didn't do well, not perfectly. I wasn't righteous in all my actions. I was wrong, I polluted myself. Right, that's it up. And failed to argue the cause of orphans and widows, I suppose. So there is a way to get there. The spirit of the worker shall live on, the spirit of he who lives and will not die. And it may be a useful thing to reiterate, the stars become black holes. The others that read of such a time may remember.
Right over. Right over. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother, who made me clever, I wish only the best. To my family, I generally wish my gratitude and appreciation. People who are part of my existence will recognise Simon, me, Mr. John, and doff their caps as I stroll on by, or act childishly as they think they can or may or should. Comment upon such a thing, my immaturity. The bad times were awful, rock and roll, you understand. The bad times are awful, the future is obviously going to arrive, and the mother who raised me never realised so many of those bad times ruined me for the good. Even unto brain damage. 3 or 4 years how I went through my life, as we should, as another said. Be ashamed of fighting from the burial ground. Tony Hooker said that, I think. Points of view come and go mainly, merrily, or not. The room is deared, whatever, cleaned I think. The light is on. I used to have a jack-in-the-box where my deodorant now stands. Life goes on. I was a spoiled child in many ways, only to suffer dire poverty when 25 plus. Yes, I have no money, no funds, no means, but a spiritual rest and fulfillment I require. I hated violence and the promiscuous use of it, proliferous use of it, I should. I like a drink or 3, as God should know by now. It wasn't really meant to be the inherent situation like so many of my ambitions. The will to fight just got flattened right out of me, temporarily. I was a man, I was a 31-year-old who wrote these defeatist words, and positively cleansed. I don't know if I have what's inside of me. Ha! My own. I'll be laughed with when I'm gone, loving in company. Like the devil wrote to a note to me. Shallow should or can or will be mine, but it shall remain in a state of sickness and decline, spinning down into infinity, with my value helping to make me, and to make me suffer quite a bit. From a scientific point of view, all his building blocks put into place occasionally exploded. Analysis reveals the snowdrops are all different, and fingerprints are all diverse, as different perhaps as one car or automobile is to a truck or to another. The friends and enemies I've made are prevalent and all around sometimes. I've shown ignorance and sometimes I've shown arrogance, but they forgive. Funny. Zoroastrianism, a religion. Good creation could be said to be that of Ahura Mazda. The evils of this world are inflicted by his enemy Angramenu. Zoroaster, about now it was said, would return to put it right. It's an argument similar to that of Christianity. But a scale of major religions most touch upon such heroic themes. So who is your hero? Who is your heroine? Who's going to drive you home tonight? They say the brain develops until 25. Many of the victors, that's not. Many of the vanquished, many of the disturbed and the troubled by resentment or trial or tribulation. Things go wrong, things don't always go according to plan. It's luck, good or bad. The heroes are detailed about and watched to learn from. And the villains recur like the Joker or Lex Luthor. The fight to lose once more, to Superman or Batman. Comic book stuff. Love it. Women would have different dreams of feminine things, of having someone to live for and fall to the feet of and look after and raise children for, and through weakness and enduring hardship for, to grow up with, to love, to grow old with, to never have wrong done by. But should it happen, to forgive their man for any romance with or be romanced by, associated with, to rebuke, suffer another. Come good or bad, they would come around to be spinsters or avoiding, to be known the other children's. Can't read that. You sooner or later found out, or relied upon being on the edge, though its point of place have been diverted and spilled and slept away hours and led into the abyss where I've come tumbling down so many times, so frequently. I drew pictures in school, art. That was something I excelled at. I could make up stories too, and they would read them and assume me intelligent with selection of reasons for such presumption. It's my conclusion that Bob Dylan must have been told he was stupid in school to be such an achiever in the rest of his life. Life was good. Preconceived plans I knew would work, and the future was clear. I could see it. And I could work it out well enough within that framework to enjoy myself as well as anybody else could. And I found something now regretted known as drugs, of which I became a part, the underground. And I had many people who used me up. I was Pid, that was my nickname. They spat me out on mates, but at times the skies will avenge, or I'll turn orange or black. The clouds will turn to lead, and quite often really. So I didn't mind these friendships being false or even unkind, malicious. I had money enough to get by, so I was okay as a thief. I feared nothing back then, except the things that was soon to be revealed to me about life. The good Lord saw me apart in his wrath for my wrongdoings. He blasted me to smithereens repeatedly, and I've ever been confined to a place with no lamps. St. David's Hospital in Carmarthen. They say it could be worse. I did. But why bother trying to escape? Life's difficult enough when you're in his enemies, when you're with his enemies, and so much as with friends. Well, sometimes life is emotional about a believer, and the sickness goes and comes, the fear drives me crazy, because I know it's madness and it's blood curdling. It sends the shivers through me, it's destructive. One man or woman thinks it's wipeout, and I know that my real name is without middle name, it's just Simon John, 12970, etc. I lived in South and West Wales. I like to go out for a walk, but the idiots wouldn't allow it. And I was a fat really chew me up earlier, that. Maybe I dressed funny or something. It's difficult, and I do feel it at ease to survive as older becomes gentler. And the claims you make or stake are often false because of your need, your hunger, but it passes, and the greed that becomes charity in the end, as remorse sinks in. But love remains true, and love of God is love, and that is why man works so hard. He's made in God's image, and continues as God does, or would, in a given situation. So I relate to you, dear watcher, reader, and I want to be myself, to be who I am, Pid or Sign. No one called me that after I became this sucker. They imagined to be me. They may have thought that killing was right, or brutal was correct, or overrule was merely natural, or to be wrong was merely being nice. It's insanity, it's madness. It's wrong. Death is inevitable ever since Satan became king of this earth, and he's currently the boss, obviously. Things are getting worse out there, and on the other side of the paradise is kept places that are unattainable to evil ones. Well, be careful, for evil is sickness and disease too, very catching, and the destructive powers of violence are judged by the Ancient of Days, who always rules in favour of his people, the saints, of which I most definitely one. Don't tear me apart, so they may try to detract from good, mine, and relish naughtiness, crimes and shit. But you put Jordan's knee and spank you for it, like Dennis the Menace or Minnie the Minx was having fun all throughout, and my childhood you will curse and swear. So enjoy yourself while it's easy to reap the fruit of your labours, for you too will grow old. In my youth I was aware of what was devious going on, and dreamed that I could find better things and forms. Now stupidity has set in, and I'm finding myself trapped in it, a bubble. Many nails have already been banged into me, into Simon John meddling away there into me, and I'm hurt, afraid, and didn't want it to happen. And should I have deliberately done wrong that would hurt others, or been harsh in my treatment of anybody, we'll talk it through before we get to court. I want to get somebody that wasn't worse than that finds himself a room that was paradise or earth or overflow in Switzerland, or as others would enjoy life in the Mediterranean, or nice places in America, or nice places over there, or over here, or whatever. At holidays we went there, to Europe and North Africa, and only for the blessed, the rich by comparison. Can't afford it these days. The chaps in lie in my own way of men imagine to be Babylon, perverted that I'm not in the worries and the 90s. I was just playing religions, revelatory themes, and the wheel goes round, and I am who I am. That is, I'm a John, a long time definitive name, a Christian, a distant relative, perhaps, of one of the Johns in the Bible. Even sorrows, even darknesses, even pains, even fears, heaven beaten out of me, my constant malady, the sounds of insanity around me, they try to control me, they try to make life difficult to thought. That's the way, isn't it? Such prisoners as me are treated by the powers that be. The waters dry. It would sweep me along when I was young in huge waves, with dogs barking, and of that they made sure. They said I'd be saved if I believed and stood firm, and as a king I've lost wealth and become a pauper, clothed in cast-offs and rags. Riches to rags. The title for the book, Riches to Rags. People I meet, I wish they'd let me be free. And occasionally greet me people I wouldn't like to meet surround me. Because they control as gods. And they have been relatively kind to me. They maintain their stance, plots and gossip, and taunts abound, and the life I lived in the playgrounds was hard for me when I was there. I got picked on in school because my eyes are so good that I can't bear to look at what they've done to the earth, and they have fair sister torn and ripped. And my ears are so sound and listening to what I have to hear. Being forced to has become painful to the all that have gone deaf a bit, to Simon John, to me. To where I am now, having pain of it, and making the point of thrust and trust upon that I receive it well. And do unto others as I'd have them do unto me. I'm ill. Leave the madness behind you when you enter my domain. It is in a prison and is not of my own design. When I wanted freedom and peace, I found myself hardship and pain, and the lack of violence was all that was needed by people to find it over another, and was locked in away from society. doing to others you haven't done to you. That's a good one. Laughter, does anybody remember laughter? When laughter hurts because of my being ravaged throughout this land, in a prisoner of war camp of the government's design. In virtue, like Sergeant Rock, and ever hoping for better things instead of being alternative or alive. Like a Nazi war criminal, that's how I was treated. I wanted to find tranquility. Mind that word, remember that word. But empty were the winds that received the news and death and feelings, and triumphing over growths, rejuvenations. Because any ordinary person could preside over my case and come to the conclusion that Simon John was Babylon or something, and therefore in the wrong. God. It's alright, that. What with it being a bad guy, foregone conclusion. Awkward is how it would be as I write, to run from pole to pole, to escape the moon stars, and when Jar said they're gonna come, you retain the idea that they were the system set in place. The heavens, they turn. For people like me, you can't connect. Life is difficult, and the pickings of sin are slim. And the pickings of sin are slim, and the men in white coats are children too, once upon a time. That's the truth. They made madness their profession, the study of it, and the general practice they pursued. I read a book once, it was about psychology and psychiatry, but I never realised my dad was going to be vindictive and use it. That game of hurt. Psychology and psychiatry. Sadism would often abound in our house, even though we had a video copy of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with it at one point. So they indulged and infringed upon my known human rights, and if people could be all free in the pain and mourning, I'm sure they'd choose the better way of life. That is Christ, and not the satanic madness that results in hell on earth and the hell of fire. God is in control of all of it, and the universe remains the eternally self-recreating happening. I want to be able to see past my nose. This book is an event, and the Meditations was a book in the Bible, 4 or 5 chapters long. I played the flower slowly and beat the drum slowly. Fife slowly and beat the drum slowly, and it is good to be comforted. I'd rather be getting along with it. The business of day-to-day living out in this house, this very big house in the country. Watching afternoon repeats and the food I eat. So I hope I'm well enough to do so, but I find the same things going on day in, day out, the same faces doing the same old jobs. It's hard to cope with a life incarcerated in one big, what they used to call, lunatic asylum. Folks can be better. Hosts can be better. Maybe I get like that. And what's the point of this except to recant the prevalent emotions of the Transylvanian transvestite? Keeps to rise again. Humour is dry in my life. And plague there remains. Thanks so much because of my sexual sin. I even know that it's wrong to look lustfully upon a pregnant woman, saying yes as a wench. A minor, as she goes, that would be wrong at the time, with the mouth. A couple of the godless life of two factors combined to threaten my ongoing, forward-looking life, and with me, straight up I am. And I will be going to the dead and the stones and the clay, but I was a champion of the light, not a companion of games, a Christian on one occasion in the name of love, danced in the dark room. And this is how I write. I recall myself avoiding all pride. In the past I made errors, in the past I was a blast, and entertained as my Dylan-esque waves, as my Dylan-esque guitar playing and singing. A life that became full of coincidental coincidences. I found myself at the centre of the wrong kind of attention, in a kind of vicious circle where complaints in the prevalent force, and most of them concerning me and my lifestyle. They requested words of me only today earlier on, but it was otherwise engaged in writing this book. It's a sort of descriptive effort, a book of thought, or this little else. Because I'm not singing anymore, they claim I'm insane, and they may be right, because for 12 years plus it's stuck like mud, that claim that I'm insane. The people are being persuaded in their perceptions of myself and others who are in this terrifying and awful position to adopt the view that I'm a second-class human being beneath contempt. Currently I'm wondering if I'll make it out on Friday and see you on Monday, edited on Tuesday, and a difficult and great day for me. Both they and the other senior clients found it difficult to do anything except to say about the idea of making the usual remains of getting that the outsiders like me, Anna Elliot. Well, not Anna Elliot, no, that was a mistake. Remember, I was part country man, part every man. When younger, but now I'm segregated as if the same conflict or something. Well, I should be a prisoner of war. Now I am perhaps what needs improving, and how I feel has got troubles my marriage frame. Monday has been a day to recall, a day of difficulty for a man of peace like me. It's like I would. That competition like this remembers as being fraught in the heads that I was once on. Because if it's for others, and maybe picking on Simon and John a bit too much. Want to hack off another piece, huh? It's only a flesh wound. So my faculties are with me, if those I choose to have and do good with me don't reappear much, mainly come in the major production. My line was killed off with constant intervention a few years ago by whoever believed it would destroy me in the past. Bouncing back is part of my nature, to reattain and reappear and re-emerge, and generally make comebacks, but that's fraught with danger when knockbacks and getting a push-off is ever present. Love is entwined and water becomes wine. But that was in a different time. And times God spoke to me and wonders if he'll see me soon, gave me on the Sabbath the title of this book. Respect is obviously due to those who deserve it, far too many to mention. Carved in a store the names of the fallen, and cry to arms as heeded, and the wires got cut and lifeblood would spill out onto the floor, and only upon that moment could a man decide to fight Satan or Jesus. And those around would hear and see the death throes of a man to decide themselves about war and the governmental killing machines, because the people know that people understand, and there's a wonder or wanderer together now. Whichever is fair to say is true, I say. Walk down the highway in peace with his brother, bro. Some idiots said love is earned. That's one point of view, as if there was an amount that could be measured in teardrops and worth its weight in gold. Which it is. Well, he's obviously prevailable. I'll tell you something, God's not a Judas, as I said before. I won't become something I'm not in the depth of love. That would be a terrible thing when we decided to the film Schindler's List. I just wept now. Like something is wrong and I'm not righteous enough, like a human being put up with like a terror in taught. Where over lights and shining armour would rescue you from emotionally, like two boys, like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, two little boys doing the opposite, they're committing a heinous crime. James Bolger didn't survive. And what is wrong, the element of creation, the X factor dwells in a part of man that killed. And God is love and man does reign, and the mighty arms of insanity and madness will brave themes everywhere. The script has always been disjointed. It's crap, it's nothing like me. It's not God's favourite film anymore, it's mine. Weak and me and defenceless. And when I go to the next level, I'm in Space Invaders. And the consequent eventualities that computers have brought about and do record games dear buying, nothing but games. No joy enough now. Music, no joy, no fun. Angry flashes from even the devil there, no feelings so like. So many people try so hard. The way it is now, to be honest, is everybody's great, everybody's friendly, you know. This is the way I wrote it years ago. The children were playing ambitions, they grow, they will overtake and make good, and the current standing. Take perhaps recipient of a sweep of what will be in their futures. I know even from what my own allegedly wild-eyed position of fame is now in non-existence. My fortunes and the kids grow up to be bigger monsters than they ever were back then, when they were ungratefully young. Happy aged. Yeah, happy aged. The elderly are worthy of respect by being there. The enemy is having to see that, hear about, for half to feel, for someone not emerging life in pain and fear and unable to refrain from the incessant drowning in the whirlpool of time, which they burn in circles and ever draw and split one down the middle and see what doesn't happen to the moon. The governing body that today we can't make out because it's clouded all the way across the sky. Attention sought by those who are jerking around in a stew of the faded figures, and they feel their treasures stolen away as they sleep, and realise it's all a bloody nightmare. As my world gets smaller, as my private life gets regurgitated over again, the others around me think differently and act peculiarly. And then everything to suffer in their knowledge and atrocities have become occurring regularly. May we know, please. May do well. May we have that dance. Yes, and a bottle of port or white wine. They draw the lines in the wrong bloody places, and traces of doings once consulted and joyed remain to convict of a man of worthless, treacherous beast of burden and wrongdoing in the eyes of the law. Though he sees the cosmos, though he walks the roads, though he drinks and eats, though he knows and name. I dreamed I saw Eric Clapton, a prominent guitarist in the 60s, visualising him by his Essex home, or was it Sussex, or was it somewhere else, or was it everywhere else? I dreamed I was swimming by the side of two nuclear submarines, dilapidated and out of use, with the promise of meeting Jimi Hendrix keeping me going as I swam through. And it was all something to do with tango. Really, he was playing something amazing, and for once Mitch and Noel weren't capitalising on it all. But the second symphony seemed childish and horrible, so I went to make toast. So despite the strong lack of tea or coffee in this place, it got verbal from a thin, dark-haired Dracula claiming it was more addicted to food than God is to the Bible. I know I have a physical sort of mental illness that distorts and dreams as upsetting as it isn't quite obvious to all. Called feeling. It's God that made this place, and other people perceive him differently, but he's incredibly vast, and the sun will blaze on you with vibrant, bravely enough, but gloomy is your life if you're a coward. You die a billion times. And if you have the guts to confront your enemies or problems, he rewards you openly, although it's not your fault, so the odds be insurmountable. It's clearly like a dream I had walking along Cardiff riverbank, although I'd done it many times. In reality, the dream was real. The gravel underfoot would crunch. I've woken up to find myself dreaming in the past. And here in St. David's Hospital, my waking life was a nightmare, and I live in hell. So perhaps I'll end it. My partner didn't believe me. I tried to kill myself once. When I was a kid, I used to climb the quarry with my mates. Play in the quarry. Get shot at too. We'd get by old guard or two and play up on the slate mine and walk around it, because it was great fun. The four of us were superhuman. Mark and Emma from Richards, I was from Radder, and Woody was from Lambeth North. But we didn't go to a church like Mark and Em did. They were our friends. True, one of the weirdos, Pooch and Pross, and two of the wealthy twats who came later, Jeff, another wealthy twat, who led me astray. The drugs and stuff, but weren't really my friends at all. Well, they were chill at all. Well, any of those rip-off merchants from the pubs and the car for cycling up and stabbing you wisely, find the man who more at midnight. I'd rather be aware of that, a dreamer. Primary school, I was okay, I did alright. I even went to Rongoffin, and I went there home at the moment. It's all gone too far. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm looking for all the way. It's not even true, but under all my surroundings, I'd like to be able to write it all out and have those good times too. I'm wandering around all the pubs as fit as I can be and arse and thick head on my case. The way forward will all be well again. The old man, Bob, I'm bastard bloody Bob, will have me back and bullies my mother, and every night in bed I can hear my talking to in a violent voice as he always wins. So there's no point trying, just a smelly, obscene little thing. She now thinks back and then it would have been horribly regretted. Care. It's about people, what people do, and my mother has let me down and simply won't look after me here. It's a case of placing thousands upon thousands of people above me, and what I created from life was to be appreciated as a guitarist, a bit of a leader, not a follower, and a subversive sheep. So I'm a goat. Maybe I make music that is unruly or even a terrible racket that's crap, but I might like to play it all because I'm just another unknown guitar player, and the system is carefully scrutinising and chipping to bits everything I do. Systematically and carefully, when what I actually need is a bassist to drum it over which I'm with and just think positively instead of just getting caught up in a bit of load of ass. As if I'm paranoid. Acoustic guitar is a marvellous instrument. My dad said I was easy meat. He beat me in a game of pool. He said a lot of other hurtful things, and the ones in our donkey authorities have the right to criticise just about everything I do and say. I even claim that my thoughts are wrong. My parents must be saying something though. So no one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded, to heaven only lies. Well, my dreams, they aren't as empty as my conscience seems to be. Our hours only lonely, my love is vengeance that's never free. Those lyrics were written by Pete Townsend. I think I'll leave it there because I can't turn any more pages. Well enough. Right, how do you turn this thing off?